Hello, Professor in class. This is Giovanni. For today's presentation, I will examine the revenue sources for the city of Pasadena, identify their top three revenue sources, determine the percentages they constitute for the overall revenue, and assess whether they are progressive or regressive. I will also provide three scholarly journals to support my assessment. Now, the city of Pasadena generates revenue from various sources, including taxes, franchise fees, investments, and rental income, among many other things. For the fiscal year of 2025, Pasadena's total revenue was $340,783,272. Now, the biggest source of revenue for Pasadena is property taxes, both secure and unsecured. I highlighted the category and the numbers in red for ease of use in this slide. Now, secure property taxes are taxes assessed on real property, such as land and buildings, where the tax is secured by a lien on the property. On the other hand, unsecured property taxes are taxes that apply to property that can be moved around or is not attached to land. The key here is that it is not secured by real estate. The second highest revenue is also seen on this slide, and I circled it in black. That is retail sales tax. For the third and last revenue source that I'm looking at, I had to pay close attention here. At first glance, it might appear that the utility users tax electric is the third highest revenue source, but it is not. The actual third highest revenue source is the utility users tax overall. I highlighted in red all the subcategories that make up the utility users taxes. When it comes to the percentage of the top three revenue sources compared to the rest of the revenue, some math was required. First, I had to add the secure and unsecured property taxes to find out the total revenue from property taxes. Total revenue was $87,460,100. When divided by the total revenue of $340,783,272, property taxes made up about 25.67%. Retail sales tax was $77,636,100. When divided by the total revenue, it made about 22.79% of the total revenue. Lastly, I had to add up the utility user fees tax, which came out to $34,060,000. When divided by the total revenue, the percentage was 9.99%. Now, the top three revenue sources for the city of Pasadena collectively account for over half of the total revenue, as shown in the pie graph that I created at the very end or bottom of this slide. My assessment of the city of Pasadena's property tax system is that it is generally progressive. Unlike a regressive tax that requires lower income individuals to spend a larger share of their income on goods and services, property taxes tend to place a greater burden on higher income households because wealthier residents typically own properties of higher value. This creates a structure where individuals with greater ability to pay contribute more financially to taxes compared to those in lower income households. Authors Cameron K. Murray and Jesse Herman support this view in their peer review article, Land Value is a Progressive and Efficient Property Tax Base, Evidence from Victoria. They argue that taxing land value rather than land and buildings together is an especially progressive and more efficient method of generating revenue. While Pasadena uses a traditional property tax rather than a pure land value tax, Murray and Herman's findings still lend weight to my assessment. Their findings show empirical evidence that higher income households own land with much higher taxable land values. This reinforces the broader relationship between income and property value, thus supporting my earlier statement that wealthier individuals who own more valuable property bear a larger share of the overall property tax burden than those in lower income households. On the other hand, sales taxes are regressive. Authors John J. Siegfried and Paul A. Smith illustrate this in their article, The Distributional Effects of a Sales Tax on Services. Siegfried and Smith analyze how extending the sales tax to services affects the financial burden across different household incomes. Their study was insightful because it provided insight into the spending patterns of different households within various income brackets, including low, middle, and high income. This study showed that lower income households pay about a fifth of a percent more of their income in sales and services taxes than do higher income households, indicating that lower income households bear a greater financial burden. This demonstrates that sales taxes disproportionately burden low income households, confirming the regressive nature of this revenue source. Utility user taxes are regressive in nature as well. Much like sales tax, lower income households bear a higher share of the burden compared to their higher income counterparts in relationship to their individual household income, thus contributing to income inequality. Authors Wally Quatlate, Vera Siperer, Damien Rosselier, and Alexandros Dimitropoulos observed this in their article Energy Taxes, Reforms and Income Inequality, an empirical cross-country analysis. Their study examined 21 countries and investigated the impact of energy taxes on income inequality. Their study found that energy taxes are regressive because lower income households spend a significantly larger portion of their income on energy consumption. Although their study did not directly examine utility user taxes and instead focused on energy taxes, most utility user taxes are based on energy itself. This aligns with my statement that utility user taxes are regressive as lower income households spend a larger portion of their income on them when compared to higher income households. Now, this concludes my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it and that it was very informative. God bless you all and have a great weekend. Bye.